and welcome back to your view with me on Kopoze JJ Tabane. Of course, in the news there, a lot of stuff that's worth pondering about, IP and the reports that coming out of the Public Protector's Office. But we'll talk about that just now. But I thought the NEC of the ANC, in a sense, adopting the report, adopting the paper by Tito Mboweni is a kick in the teeth of the SACP and COSATU. Let's be honest. I mean, they were not saying please tinker with the paper here and there. They were saying this is class project, 1996 class project, reincarnate and what have you. They were saying all sorts of brimstone and fire. And I'm not sure what happened to that in this meeting that just happened. But overall, I think we need to accept that our ruling party has run out of ideas when it comes to the economy. When you're listening to Esma Hashule speak, you may think this is 1994. They're still wondering what to do, and they're talking about growth sectors and so on. And then parallel to that, you have an education system that's supposed to upskill people for the so-called fourth industrial revolution in shambles, in terrible shambles. But there's we must never lose hope. We have to understand that we are on our own. If we think that it's government that is going to fix the economy, we are sorely mistaken. And in that regard, I must commend Baba Gaoganedi, who is the spokesperson of the Gauteng Tourism Authority. And he was on the round table last night talking about entrepreneurship in the tourism industry. Fantastic input. You got to go and watch that. If you missed it last night, go and check it out on our YouTube channel, round table on entrepreneurship. Just the depth of understanding what needs to be done. This is the stuff that the ANC, NEC should be roping into their meetings to ask them to advise how we should be tackling things, just the amount of information and understanding and depth is quite impressive. Something that can be said about stuff that always comes out of the ANC's Economic Transformation Committee. That committee is tired. Some people have been there for 25 years, and if you compare or if you contradict or compare the growth of the economy, you have your answer of whether they have been successful or they've been a total failure in guiding this country to have some kind of a consistent economic growth. They failed. They failed badly. And maybe the sooner they are replaced with a committee that knows what it is doing, the better. I mean, we've got so many, fantastic brains across the country, who could be brought in there to be part of that committee and actually make sense of the failing economy of our country. When you listen to just Esba Hashule there reading, without understanding, you just lose hope, man, in whether they will ever get the economy right. All that has happened over the last 25 years is what one can call policy stagnation or even policy schizophrenia. If we are not changing the name of a policy, that's really the biggest change you'll get, is that this is no longer called as GISA, it's now called the Youth Growth Path, or it's now called NDP. And I don't want to be negative, but that's all that we have been dished. We've been dished nomenclature, changing of names. That's all we've been dished. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about, but you can't avoid these things if they are in your face. The failure of the economy, unemployment, and all of these things facing you. And of course, the ANC, with a straight face telling us, oh, investors are going to be so happy. Suppose they'll be happy when the unions are up in arms and causing this country to go down because they feel that they've been taken for granted by their own alliance partners. And the communists are also jumping up and down. It's a mess. No policy incoherence and so on. But maybe I'm too negative. We'll see whether in a year's time there will actually be economic growth or there'll be a revision of targets. Because that's another thing that is a favorite of government. Hey, let's change we said 6%, let's change it to 2%, just so that we have lowered the standard. They say, that's why you shouldn't be surprised. When Njimu Tsega says, no, people can exit that standard 9. For grade 9, they must exit. What's am I? So that they don't affect the so-called metric results. Because the longer you keep them there, the more or the less your matric results are going to look like. That's what they're trying to do. Always being a victim of shifting of tables. So what we call musical chairs. So they move these children, they see that they're going to fail. But no, go to grade 9, get out, go away, so that we don't count them as people who have failed matric in 3 years' time. It's not rocket science. Anyway, the IPT, had they been found guilty, man. I don't have enough time to talk about it. I think I'll talk about it tomorrow, because I want to ask you, South Africa. If the police themselves are crooked, and if you listen to the Zondo Commission, even in the last couple of days, the horror stories of how the crime intelligence, people who are supposed to stay awake at night so that you and I are safe, are the most rotten and corrupt. Because by the time nobody will know again. If they are dealing with slush funds, and so those things are meant to be confidential. Then they go, they take their girlfriend overseas, they do all sorts of nefarious things. Then you obviously said, look, there must be somebody who guards the guardians. Again. So you appoint an IPIT, and then you got the head of IPIT, but no, he also didn't follow procedure, also now found with his hand in the cookie jar. It's bad. Where do we run to? You think you run to politicians, then you get the leader of the opposition there, also in nefarious deals, right? And the other people are making a lot of noise saying that the ANC is so corrupt and what have you, and then they can't answer. I'm still waiting for the DA spokesperson to phone me after our interview on Sunday and tell me in specific terms, when did the DA return the car of the crooked and criminal Steinhoff? When did the DA return that car? I want to know. I'm still waiting, Tatemalati. You've promised to tell me, and I don't think it can take you so long to just find out when did you return the car of the criminal Steinhoff. Then I'll listen to your leader when he shouts at the president. Then I will listen to him when he takes. Anyway, I think I've run out of time. But before I go, the NEC has said to Makura, you got to fire one MEC. One. You got very fantastic group of MECs. You got the MEC of Health, Bandile Masuku, who's done a fantastic job, and I think you need to keep him. You got Mama Bolo, who is dirtied his hands, is already getting in there, trying to resolve the taxi strike, or rather the taxi wars and so on. You got, Dr. Kosienzu, a fantastic guy. I think he deserves a good chance. He has proved himself in numerous ways. And then you got Payanza Lisufi, who you tried to remove and put somewhere else, and you saw what the public reaction was. He's a guy who's dirties his hands, goes to places. But take a look at this. Here's your candidate to fire.
If you want to engage me about the work I'm doing, working with the municipalities, no problem. So you can't be saying I'm not taking keen interest in this. It's a sweeping statement and uninformed.
You simply disagree with what I'm saying. I'm saying what you are saying is misinformed. How is that disrespectful? How is that a misbehavior? Because that's a point of view. You can't
as well abuse our constitution, because if you are not happy and you think I'm vulgarizing your process, there's processes in the law that you must follow. I'm not going to apologize for my opinions. And you are forcing me to say I have doubt. What is that thing? Don't treat me like a small boy. Don't do that. Because Human Rights Commission is not God. It's a Chapter 9 institution that is subjected to the Constitution. And that's why we've got courts to interpret the law. So if you are going to do this, it's fine. We can meet in court. I don't have a problem. And we can just as well conclude and meet in court. No, you can't censor me in the name of the Constitution and Chapter 9 institution. You're not going to win with me. Never. Never. We can't. And I'm very respectful. From the onset, I've been respectful here. Even questions that I thought are not relevant, I answered them without even saying. So, I mean, really, I don't know what is your issue. I don't know whether are you or train again now. What are you doing?
Yes, Ndate Makura, there is your candidate. You know, on this one, I really want to see whether Makura was going to have a backbone. I really want to see. Of these 5 MECs, there's no reason to fire all the other 4, but there's every reason to fire this one. And I've said to Makura directly, this guy is going to embarrass you. He's going to embarrass you. And after I said that, this guy sent me threatening messages. And I've said to Makura, I'm not going to publish messages. I'm waiting for you to sort it out. And in my messages here, I've criticized many politicians in my life. I've criticized many politicians. Many politicians have criticized me, but nobody has sent me insulting messages and telling me about how small my manhood is, how my mother who actually is passed, and how he can deal with me, and because I make him Alexander. Shameful stuff. I want to see, Makura, whether you will keep this guy in your executive. And I'll lose every respect if you keep him, just because Keke Alexander Murphy. I want to see it. These guys are used to not being criticized. I will criticize you. You can send me as many threatening messages you like. I'm not afraid of anybody. Do your best, do your worst. Anyway, enough for that. We're going to talk to Satu now at the bottom of this hour. Stay tuned for that.